Hi guys, my name is Sahini. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'll be making Polish pierogi and yeah. Hi guys, my name is Sahini. Today I'll be making Polish pierogi and this is going to be a Polish cuisine. They also have it in different countries in Eastern Europe like Czech, Romania, but they have different names. Today I'll be making the filling with potatoes and onions, and there's different variety of different fillings, but today I'm going to do the basic one for you. So first step for a pierogi filling, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly because I'm not Polish, but I'm trying. You take 4 medium-sized potatoes, skin them, and then chop them into big chunks like this. This will be for your stuffing, and you have to bring it to boil for about half an hour until it's soft. So for the first part, just pop the potatoes into a boiling pan of water. Make sure you put about a tablespoon of salt so it can just, filter the water and the potatoes so it can be soft. You're going to pop them into the pot like that. You can put it into a pan of cold water, but you can also put kettle water, but that'll just boil it a bit faster for you. So once this is all done, you just leave it to boil for about half an hour, and then you have to do the second part of the stuffing, which will be onions. Onions into small squares. I'm not really perfect at dicing onions, as you can see I'm starting to cry, but yeah, just make sure they're all very small, like small squares, about literally about that much will be fine. But you've got to dice it to be part of the mixture for the pierogi. You're going to add this to the mashed potato. But beforehand, we're going to put it into vegetable oil. Sorry, I'm crying. And just saturate them until they're a bit golden. And this will just be for your extra filling as well. Turn the onions in the pan. You don't want to overheat it too much, and make sure it is low to medium heat until the onions are a bit brown and translucent. And that just makes the filling to be a bit more softer than to be hard, because if you overcook them, what you would find is when you fry the pierogi at the end, pierogi, help me out if I'm saying it wrong, they'll become hard if you overcook the onions. Just make sure you just do it on a low heat and make sure it's a bit soft, a little bit white, a little bit brown, and that'll be perfectly done. So this will probably take about 3 to 4 minutes, and just let it simmer. What will happen is sometimes you do add vegetable oil, but some people tend to add unsalted butter. But I'll probably add that at the end to make it a bit more, thick as well. You can see it's getting a bit of a golden tinge to it. I've added 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter to melt with the onions, and now it's looking more soft and saturated. By now, as the onions are just frying slowly, you just take the potatoes, you put it inside a sieve. They should be really soft like this. So almost white looking, yellowish to white. You're going to take that, let it sit for a bit. It should come out really soft, just like mashed potato really. So what you're going to do is pop it on the side, put it in the sink to strain a bit more. We have to now mash it together and add the onions. Okay, at the moment I've got to use an electric whisk because my potato masher has gone missing. So what you're going to do is just mash the potatoes and turn it on. Gone everywhere.
Hazard!
Take 2. Put it in the centre of the potatoes and start the actual whisk, because it will just be chaos everywhere. Sorry to my friend Martina, I just sprayed her with potatoes, but here you go. It's very difficult. I need to scream for this part, but so we've got to wait till the mashed potatoes like really creamy. It's not too thick. Make sure there's no lumps in it. It's going everywhere. Oh my god! And until it looks very white like this. There's that hot potato there, kind of cut. There you go. So yeah, until it's literally no lumps inside it. And there you go. That was effort, wasn't it? So once the mashed potatoes all mashed, put it place into cut that out. So once the mashed potatoes are all done, you get 1 tablespoon of salt. You just sprinkle it on top of the mashed potato. And then you're going to get some black pepper. Bear with me, I've got to open this. Now I've got it open because I just bought it this morning. Got a bit of ground black pepper. I wouldn't, no, I would never say like put half a tablespoon, but knowing it being in the grinder, I'm going to put literally about that much of black pepper. Shit. Take 2. Sorry for the mistake. You add a little bit more black pepper. It's falling apart. I can't deal. Right. Just sprinkle it on the top, and what we're going to do is mix this in together with the potato. Just curl it into the middle. Don't like dragging it back towards yourself with salt and pepper. Make sure it's really mixed into the mixture from the mashed potatoes. So it's really inside. Just keep doing that until you don't see any big chunks of black pepper. So once the potatoes all mashed up with the salt and pepper, just take 1 tablespoon of ricotta cheese. In the traditional Polish dish, they tend to add farmer's cheese. If you can't find farmer's cheese, ricotta would do as well. Just add that to the mix. I put 2.5 because I like cheese. Okay. So what we're going to do is just take the ricotta cheese and make sure it gets into the center of the potato mash. So it's going to have a more textured filling, and you'll taste the cheese in each pierogi. It's so difficult, just put it towards yourself. It might take a while because the cheese is a bit soggy. But farmer's cheese is the most popular one, but obviously in the UK I couldn't really find much farmer's cheese around, but they do tend to sell it in some Eastern European shops, like Polish shops or Romanian shops. But ricotta is my favourite, so I'm going to go with ricotta. Some people tend to do cheddar cheese, but ricotta is the good way to go. Next step, you take your onions. Some people tend to forget the onions, but I like the onions inside. Just put a couple of teaspoons, well, tablespoons of onions into the mixture of the mashed potato and the ricotta. This gives it a zing to the actual pierogi. And it has that bit of seasoning as well. So you just add that inside there. And then you're going to bring it to a mix. So it's going to be one big bowl of the filling for the pierogi. Just makes it taste more delicious. Look at that. Just make sure it gets into the potatoes as the black pepper and salt and the ricotta cheese. Normally, people put different fillings for their pierogi, but you can make it a sweet dish or a savoury. But today I'm just doing the basic potatoes and onions. Oh, look at that. You just take a bit of cling film or cover the plate of the mixture. I'm going to pop it into the fridge to cool down. What you're going to need for the pierogi dough is 4 cups of plain flour. So make sure you've got a clean surface like a worktop. Make sure you get just a sprinkle of dusting for the dough, because you don't want it to be too wet or sticky, and it keeps the dough intact. So just sprinkle the whole surface of the table with some flour, and you'll be good to go as you're rolling along. 2 medium eggs. Just crack it and place it in a separate bowl. We're going to mix this together. This is for the dough mixture to keep the dough together as well. Oh, careful. There we go. So you've mixed the eggs together. You need half a cup of water. This fancy glass I've got here, you don't have to use that per se, but that would do. You add that to the eggs, and then you just mix it in together. So you need a teaspoon of salt. Just add that to the egg mixture, drop it in, and then just continue to mix. So once that's all separated, you want to take the egg and water mix and pour it into the flour, just like this. What the eggs do is separate the flour from the actual mixture, so it can come out with a nice dough texture. And you're going to take your fork and just take it clockwise and just mix until it's all kneaded into a dough form, just like that. So what you want to do is make sure the dough just looks like this, nice and hard. If you do find a bit of like dough on the bottom, you just scrape it from the bottom and make sure it just goes into the mix like this. This should end up looking like a pastry mix instead. And then once that is done, you just take it out and put it onto the platform on your board. So then your board is going to look like this. What you want to do is just roll outwards your dough Make sure it's not too thin. If it does get a bit stuck, you can add a bit of flour like I'm doing, because it gets a bit tricky onto the rolling pin. You want to roll outwards into a circle shape, just like that. And keep going until it's spread all out evenly. It looks like this. So your next step, you want to get a 3-inch dough cutter. But if you don't have that, you can use just a glass. And what you're going to do is just take the glass and make circles with that. So it should look like this. And this is where you're going to put the filling inside, which will be in the next step. So what you're going to do is take the mixture from the fridge, which is the potatoes, onions, and the black pepper, and add it to the pierogi paste. So I'm just going to add it to the dough. I'm just going to scoop it round, and then you're going to stretch all the dough going round. I've got really fiddly fingers, so you've got to bear with me. I'm going to stretch it round, making sure that you don't go right into the outer corner. Take it over, and then you're going to pinch it. Make sure there's no like air pockets, because when you boil it, it might just burst the pierogi. Just going to take it like this, go gently. If you do get slippery fingers, just add a bit of flour to your fingers so it keeps it intact. Pop it in, just pinch it. Some people do tend to decorate it with a fork. You can do, just to make sure it's sealed. Fold right round to the corner, and then that's one pierogi made. Fork, and then just make a little design so you know the outlining of the pierogi, and you can make sure it's definitely closed. It adds a bit of design to it as well. When you have filled the dough with the pierogi filling, you're just going to pop it into a boiling hot pan of hot water and leave to boil for about 3 to 4 minutes. What it normally does is it will rise to the top, and that's when you know they are finished, and you can take it out of the fire onto the pan. So once the pierogi comes to float to the top, you will know they're ready, so they're not sticking to each other, and that means they're ready to go into the frying pan. Look at that. So once you bring a bit of like about a tablespoon of unsalted butter to the frying pan and put it to a low medium heat, this is what's going to happen when you put the pierogi into the pan. You're going to be tossing it over until it's golden brown. Some people tend to eat the pierogi just like that when it's boiled, but I prefer to have it fried. So once you've taken the pierogi out of the boiling pan, once leave it to cool for like about 2 to 3 minutes, and then add it into your frying pan with tablespoons of unsalted butter. What you don't want to do is overcook it. You want to brown it on each side, and also you want to be careful not to make them cut. Just step it in a little bit. And then let it simmer for about 2 minutes each side would do. And then make sure you just turn them over. Just like that. In a crispy golden colour like this. Likewise on the other bits of the pierogi. You want to make sure you flip it on each side every like 2 minutes. I can't flip at the moment, give me 1 second. Just slowly flip them over. Doesn't want to flip, but you know what I mean. And make sure they are a golden brown, flip over, yep. And it will look just a bit crispy like that on the top. I like mine to be pretty brown, but not too brown, so it should be done within about, it takes about 6 to 10 minutes to slowly fry them. And then that should be ready to be served. So once the pierogi is done, just get a bit of sour cream and add it to the middle. I've had the sour cream and chive, but you can purchase this from any Eastern European store that sell the plain sour cream. Just do it like that. Not many people tend to add onions onto their dish, but I like to add onions on mine as well. So you can have it with just sour cream, but the onions give it a little bit of a kick as well, and a bit of garnish to make it look nice.